let's quickly go through COVID. Here's some viruses that are all, you can see that their dimensions. The SARS virus, which is COVID-1, right? 120, HIV, 120 nanometers, measles, rabies, herpes virus, influenza, adenovirus, rotavirus, hepatitis. I mean, all of these you've heard about. Guess what? They're all nanoscale. They all have a protein shell and they have DNA or RNA inside. If they have RNA, they're called a retrovirus. And of course you have the Ebola, right? What is this one? Ebola. And the Ebola virus is perhaps the strangest one of all. How did that ever happen? COVID-19, you can see this is an artistic rendition of it, but very complicated, very complex organism. I call it an organism. It has these spikes on there. This is a new helium microscope. It's a strange microscope. They cool everything down and they can get the virus this way. As you can see, it covers a lot of the surface of the cell. Here's antibodies attacking. You can see that's antibodies are smaller and they overwhelm, but they somehow, you do get immunity to COVID, but it's not easy. This is what the spikes look like. There's microscopy today called cryogenic electron microscopy. And they can look at every single atom in a protein. So you have these spikes, every single part of it. That's why they came up with a vaccine so quickly. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but they came up with a vaccine very quickly. And because they can do the genetic analysis of it all, boom, right away. Phenomenal technology. These are different kinds of spikes. It opens and closes, perfusion, closed. All of this they know. This is where our technology is today. We can look into a virus and know exactly what it's doing. So vaccines, you can read this if you want later. Applications, more, targeted drug delivery, of course. I mentioned very briefly, they put devices on the neck, which is called the carrier. The carrier is coated with homing proteins. And for example, this is a gold nanoparticle. This is DNA. This is some kind of protein. And it knows exactly where to go and then releases its drug. Or there's another therapy called ablation therapy, where the gold nanoparticle actually heats up. Once it's exposed to light, it can heat up. This is good for skin cancers because the light doesn't penetrate too far in your body. And it just simply burns the cancer cell. Brilliant. This is in the realm of polymer chemistry. You make these liposomes, which are basically cell membranes rolled into a sphere. And inside you can put different drugs. Outside you can put different drugs, carbohydrates, things like that. Polyethylene glycol, all kinds of different. I think it's some big research going on in polymer labs, mainly with a biochemical component. And these are, at the most, maybe 20, 30 nanometers across, all the way to micron sized. So they can be very different sizes. Transistors, here's another picture. You can see 800 nanometers. How small are these things? This is the difference between bottom up and top down. You get incredible work. And there's a term when you have to put sections together. But they have to match. And the tolerances, you can't have more than less than a nanometer, less than even a part of a nanometer tolerance mismatch. But look, I don't know what this is exactly, but this is it in your mobile. How small is that? This is a 14 nanometer transistor array. Give me a break. I mean, honestly. this is just mind-blowing how small these things are. 14 nanometers, really? Good heavens. And the gate, the gate for the transistor is 1 or 2 nanometers. It's like aluminum oxide or some kind of rectifying material. Okay, let's move on. I'll give you the last lecture. You can look for yourself. It has to do more with societal things, but please do look at it. I don't think we'll have time. Okay, let me try. Number 4. Okay. Okay, I'm getting pretty good at this. See, I can still learn, not hopeless. Okay, so looking at one. Okay, a little bit of, let's get into the real world a little bit of sustainability. This is from the United Nations and all different things, all the crises that we're being faced with, climate action, sustainable cities. And I just want to make a case, clean water. Nanotechnology is already playing a huge role in mitigating a lot of these things. For example, and please look at this later. Don't spend too much time. CO2 mitigation. They've now somewhere in the world they've installed a system that takes CO2 in and takes it out of the atmosphere, and it does it by tons and tons. And a lot of that is due to materials that can absorb a lot of CO2. Obviously, it's not just a bag, right? It's got to be something that can separate CO2 from regular air. So they use these what are called metal organic frameworks that have an incredible internal surface area I mentioned earlier, and they're able to just let the other air through and trap CO2, or vice versa. I think they let CO2 out. And then they would use catalytic conversion. They convert the CO2 into whatever else they needed. PTT, everyone knows PTT in Thailand, right? They had a program, I don't know if they're still following it. They use the Sabatier process to remove CO2 from the air. And what they do is they use cobalt catalyst and they add hydrogen gas. And the product is CO2 is converted to methane. Well, sorry, methane is a fuel. So if you recycle this, you can actually burn it, make the CO2, convert it back to methane and burn it again. And the byproduct is pure water. So you can also make pure water from CO2, because remember, you're adding energy. I don't know where the status of that program is, but it's a pretty cool concept. So convert CO2, so you if you calculate the limit of that process each time, you would lose, but you would get twice as much CO2, twice as much methane. You can burn it again and again. And of course, artificial photosynthesis to create energy. There's a little beetle in the Nubia desert which is known as the driest place on Earth. And it's able to collect water from the air. So in the early morning, there's still a little moisture in the air, but this water condenses on its shell. And its shell is a combination of superhydrophilic materials. I mean, you think about nature, it's just crazy, incredible, right? And it flows by a little channel into its mouth. And you can see this is a model. Right now, they've developed materials. You can put it in the desert, and in the morning, it'll be soaked like a sponge. So there's one material that can create liters and liters per hour, just out of desert air. We can't do it, but this materials can. So that technology is huge. So we're looking at the water crisis and one of the UN issues, right? The water crisis. Water desalinization, of course, reverse osmosis membranes are already nanotechnology. I think you have a lot of reverse osmosis membranes on campus. The water machines, I think, are reverse osmosis. And of course, desalinizing by electricity. Those right now in Sweden, they're doing that. So they take seawater and remove all the fresh water. Solar cell, of course, I told you, greater than 50% efficiency. This is already many years ago. Supercapacitors. A capacitor stores energy. Battery, which one is it? Capacitor. Help me. But combining the two, a capacitor delivers power, okay? But a battery can store the energy. Now they have two in one. So you have a battery that can put out a lot of power. They have those. It's just coming. Batteries and graphene that we're going electric. Let's face it. I even saw EV chargers outside the building. So we're going electric. So we need better batteries that can last longer. All of these things are happening right now. We need to convert infrared light into energy. Right now, the solar spectrum, we use what part of the energy do we use for silicon? Very small, barely in the ultraviolet range. But most of the solar spectrum is infrared. How can we use infrared? Well, we need quantum dots that absorb infrared light. We already saw we can do that. So they have to be a lower band gap even to absorb lower energy, which is hydrogen storage, reinforced. When I was at National Renewable Energy Lab in Golden, Colorado, USA, we worked on hydrogen storage for a hydrogen economy. Burning hydrogen gives water. That's very good. So you don't have to make CO2. I think some buses in Thailand are hydrogen buses. And augmented electric cables, ballistic, we talked about that. Food safety, packaging, 30% of food is thrown away because it rots away. That's a lot of food. So how can we preserve our food? We have to kill the bacteria that invades the food. So we have a packaging that contains bacteria killing nanoparticles. By the way, how many of you have seen nano silver on the market? Nano silver soap, nano silver socks. You have socks that has no odor. Socks have odor, right? Because you put the nanoparticles in there, there's no odor because it's killed by the nano silver. They have nano silver shower floors. It's actually the number one nanomaterial on sale today. Nano silver. More than 50% of the market. Security, quantum entanglement, high resolution cameras. Quantum entanglement is Albert Einstein said it's spooky action at a distance. So I can take light and split it into two different beams and then add them up later. That's basically quantum entanglement. It's an incredible security coming. It's already here. I said nanocellulose, earthquake-proof buildings. Luckily in Thailand, you don't have to worry about that. And then tennis rackets. So we got a lot of, I'm doing okay. Now what did I do? Oh. Okay, now we're in number 5. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is, we we're basically done. But let me finish. We talked about we want to talk a little bit about philosophy. And this is a very interesting about telos. For example, the telos of an acorn is to grow an oak tree. So it's like the purpose is to grow an oak tree. And I think Buddhist religion has very interesting viewpoints on this, if I'm not correct. So purpose, equation, photosynthesis is just a series of chemical reactions, possibly some quantum mechanical phenomena. Neither chemical nor quantum carry meaning or purpose of their own. Taken as a whole, the chain of events serves one of the most critical purposes in life on Earth. Stable chemically, but it has some purpose. Okay, so from baseline chemical, physical to purposeful life supporting or life-giving mechanisms, Aristotle talked about telos. All take place at the nanoscale, because we said that that's at the point when things start to have structure and function. Anyway, we just kind of go through this. What is this? So it's purposefully engineered. Did it happen by itself? That's what scientists think. O2 molecules, river of some kind. Is this something? I think this is Dr. Pujai's work. Is it correct? Did you write this? Yeah, this is he. This is by your professor here. And of course, it's an interesting topic in science because there's always a philosophy of science. You know, what is actually happening at this nanoscale structure? And this is a good argument. The molecular basket to serve as a chemical shuttle for carrying exactly 4 O2 molecules. That seems like it's a very specifically designed material for doing some function. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the energy molecule that we are most familiar with. And once again, a nanoscale structure is what's responsible for converting that into ADP and other kinds of forms of giving off energy during process. So these things are extremely complicated and they have purpose. The RNA world, RNA, you can see the red highlighted material. That's the ribose part in RNA. It's ribose nucleic acid, ribonucleic acid. And it's a part of every primitive, I don't want to say primitive, but every basic fundamental chemical in our body. So the case being made is that RNA preceded life. And I don't call this stuff nanomaterials. I think these are just big biomolecules. But these things, whether they're vitamin B12 has this component in there. You can see right in the middle here. There's vitamin B12. It's got this ribonucleic acid part in it. NAD is a cofactor for many enzymes. ATP is the same thing. They all have the same basic molecule. So Nobel Prize winner Tom Chich, he called this the RNA world and he got a Nobel Prize for it. But these things have no purpose by themselves. But when they're in the enzyme has a purpose. Now, this is interesting. This is a good one to have a few beers when we talk about it. Take our last example, structural coloration in animals, where basic chemical substrates are purposely arranged into repeating patterns, again at nanoscale. We put purposely in quotation marks. because, you know, if we say that there's some bigger being that is responsible for this, that's really becomes religion. But we're just going to say purposely at the human level, nanotech, the nanoscience, embark our own journey, scientific discoveries. We marvel at nature and her nanoengineering. If anything in this lecture, I think you got a good idea of natural nanotechnology. It just it doesn't stop. The more we discover, the more we, oh my gosh, there's more here. So there's actually this, what's called biomimetic engineering. And that's engineering that takes, for example, the nanotechnology of that beetle and creates a product. Okay, biomimetics. That's another incredible field of research everywhere. We copy nature, simply. Mimetics means copy. So bio means copy biology, and we copy biology to make something very, very useful. And a lot of it is in biomimetic nanoengineering. We copy nature's homework. Very good. Whether it's gecko's feet or whatnot. But we can't replicate it perfectly, so we settle for laboratory fabrication now and industrial manufacturing later. So the whole idea, here's the credit. Indeed, intriguing and engaging insights I enjoyed. Maybe a paper. Right? There's a lot of journals that would publish this kind of stuff. So you're stepping out of the world of science, computer science, math, and technology. And we're going to the dark side, into the social sciences. And I tell the social sciences this, because you know what? There's a lot of bias against social sciences, let's face it. We are the hard sciences. In other words, if you like mathematics and physics, chemistry, and computers, you are in the hard science. But if you don't, you go into the soft sciences, biology, social science, all of this stuff, right? Psychology, philosophy, right? Anyway, now we're doing it because we're seeing that there's an integration. When we saw NBIC, remember, cognitive sciences include psychology and philosophy. All of a sudden, things that we normally didn't deal with. We find that that's really going to be important in the future.
Soft robotics is one of those things where it start out as its attempt to mimic nature just for curiosity, and now in those science, it's almost like it's overtaken traditional mechatronic robotic now. Soft robotic is now being
all of a sudden the sciences are saying, well, we don't have to, for example, right now you hear a robot and what do you hear? Right? What is that? Pulleys, wires, actuators. But there's a group working on what are called synthetic muscles. And what are they using? Carbon nanotubes. Is that a good idea for a robot? To have the strongest material, titanium bones and carbon nanotube muscles? Wow. But what the carbon nanotube is electrically responsive. So they can bundle it up and find a way to make it contract. And then if you get your AI brain going where you have more connections, and you can make that muscle do what we're doing. Now, even walking back and forth like this requires a lot of different muscles. I don't know if we'll reach that stage yet, but it's happening. So the carbon nanotube muscles is a reality. It's coming. Okay, this stuff, you can look through this stuff. I wanted to just give it to you. You can see how things are integrated. For example, there you are. Well, there's Sarata anyway. Sarata. Hello, Sarata. Hello. That's you. Right? But anyway, all of you, this is what will happen. These are the things that can happen, right? The inputs are all these different things I'm adding: humanities, nanotechnology, bioinformation, cognitive, artificial, robotics, right? All of those, plus all the humanities. You get some kind of output, your degree. Once you have your degree, you can become an innovator, an entrepreneur, a pioneer, a city planner, a psychologist, an engineer, researcher, robotics, social worker, whatever you want to be, right? But then the outcomes, you can be an entrepreneur, and what are you going to do with it, right? You want to have entrepreneurships, enterprises, innovations, of course, companies, right? Nobel Prizes, Pulitzer Prizes, new rocket designs, water filters. These are things that actually you make or you do later. The professional outcome is just from your graduation. You have now a degree from Chulalongkorn University, which is very good. What do you do with it? But now, that's your value outcome. But what happens what are the impacts? So are you going to increase life, automated living, cleaner air, socioeconomic development, better water, safe food, education, citizenry, smart cities, cheap energy, sustainability? And then all these things will be the new knowledge. Now I understand, I know in India, the owl is not really liked very much. And the peacock is actually the symbol of knowledge. So I didn't know that. I don't know in Thailand which way it is. But then again, this all feeds back into your knowledge legacy. Our human cycle goes like this for us. It's been just one person's opinion. There's of course many different conditions. But anyway, there you are. Quadruple helix. Oh, here's another one. There's Sarata again. See, I got you on there. And throughout our history, you can see back in the ancient philosophies, that's including India, Sri Lanka, which is, I don't know if it was part in a long time ago. But thousands of years ago, they already knew this kind of education. We're actually going back to the way it was done 5,000 years ago, where they had a very liberal education and there were no boundaries. You had to, humanities, arts, music, sports, politics, ethics, all of this stuff was taught 5,000 years ago. But anyway, so ancient philosophy was maybe the root, not just the Greeks, but every in the world. When I grew up in the West, of course, we focused on Western philosophies. So we can study. I studied Indian philosophy when I went to India and had a bunch of Indian friends there. So age of discovery, then business became very important, right? And we had science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Well, I know for a fact India and went back, we got engineers and computers. That's only degrees that are worth. Science degree, get away. Now it's changing. There's actually, my friend, Professor Siddharth Javadi is here in Thailand right now. And their university, Vishwakarma University, is a total liberal form of education. We have to include the humanities in our curriculum. So that's what we're going to do here too. And then please look at all of this stuff. A CKTS is another aspect that I'll talk in a minute. But it all comes together. And then we're in this thing called the augmented age. Face it, we're in the augmented age right now. Augmented means what? It means we're going to go transhumanism. Elon Musk's group just implanted a chip in someone's brain that can make him move his limbs by just thinking about it. That's augmented. That's pretty amazing. Okay? So, but you have to understand your past. Go back and learn about what people did thousands of years ago. You'll be surprised. It's pretty amazing how they were advanced. Then we went into very focused engineering. In the US, of course, it was when the Russians launched Sputnik, everyone went crazy and we had to get more engineers. Then we went to the moon, right? Now, the same thing is happening. China decides to go to the moon. And the US said, okay, well, we better go back to the moon too. Politics. But anyway, this is Again, you have to learn industrial revolution, digital age, but the yellow box, humanities and social sciences, coming back into very important, especially the cognitive sciences. This is too much for now. Too much. But look at these pictures. These are all, by the way, all going into another book. Okay, this is a book, The Drivers of Curriculum, and what makes curriculum happen. And what, you guys, some of you may become teachers in the future. What are you going to teach? I mean, times are changing constantly. So neuroscience, artificial intelligence, again, we're going to be in this augmented age. I think things right now are so global, so interconnected. I have friends all over the world. I never thought I would. I never thought I'd be in Thailand. And here I am. I'm now living in Thailand. I hope it's okay. It's a wonderful place. By the way, Thailand is one of the best countries to live in. It's unbelievable how. Okay, convergence of knowledge, technology, and society. So you have the NBIC and you have the CT coming together. This was put out by the U.S. National Science Foundation. All right. And they think that this is really important, and a lot of countries are also following with that. This is what Vasai, I think, fundamentally driving home more and more every year. That you can be a computer guy, but you got to also know these other things. At least to the least, be aware of some of these other things. If you're aware, that makes a whole difference in the world. The quadruple helix is just academia, industry, government. And this is an old slide, I should change it to social institutions. These are all institutions. But learn how to navigate. Whether you're doing a business, whether you're going for a grant, whether you're looking for employment, whatever, go and find out how to navigate this quadruple helix. That means you have to learn how the government works, learn how business works, learn how everything else works. Had I known that, I would be much better off. I'm okay. Knowledge is, it's just another picture. It's just another whole thing about society. Learn how laws, regulations, oversight, funding, economy, industry, business, whatever. It's all related. I think if you want to integrate everything, that's what's happening. Internationalism is international with country borders. Globalism is without country borders. International corporations have no borders. So these are actually two competing rivals in the world scene. Which one is better? Globalism marches forward without rules and regulations. Internationalism has rules and regulations. So it's kind of an interesting viewpoint. Just a basic how to do when we did at AIT, funding, investors, a laboratory, and then we create advanced coding, start a company, and you have learn how to do these kinds of learn the ropes, especially you entrepreneurs out there, how to get through all this stuff. The more you know, the quicker you'll. There was one of quadruple helix in action. That's with the silver washing machines. And I think in Sweden they came out with a silver where they use silver nanoparticles in the washing machine. And that's a great idea, right? Silver kills the bacteria. Someone said, wow, that's a fantastic idea. But after they did they went through this whole cycle, they found out that the silver nanoparticles killed all the bacteria in the water treatment plant. And that made a huge mess, as you can imagine. So they said, well, we can't do silver nanoparticles in washing machines anymore. So they got rid of it. But this is the government, academia, industry all coming together trying to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of, if, for example, you're working in a nanotechnology polymer lab, and you make something that's very powerful, but will cause a lot of problems to people later. Are you responsible for that? So there's a lot of legal actions too. Is it your advisor that's responsible? Is it the university that's responsible? Is it the company that bought the technology from the university responsible? Is it the government agency that didn't oversee the product's impacts, good or bad? So there's a lot of issues, especially with nanotechnology, because people really don't know all of its impacts right now. They don't. We have the nano silver and what. There's a guy called Blue Bob, not DNA Bob, but Blue Bob, and he used to drink silver nanoparticles. Okay, because actually back in the time, 1700s, 1800s, it was a medicine. People already knew it killed bacteria even long ago. But the only sad byproduct of this, he turned blue. He looked like a Smurf. He had white hair, and he turned absolutely. You can look up Blue Bob on the internet, and you can see his picture. And what happened is the silver nanoparticle, through the metabolism in the body, turned into silver sulfide and some other chemicals. And he ended up looking blue, silver type. But there are some people, it's called Argyria. Argyria is the Latin word for silver. But what are the impacts of nano? We don't know yet. We don't know all yet. Breathing carbon nanotubes is like breathing asbestos. So we have to be careful about that. So these things are all coming. But anyway, please, my message here is learn the quadruple helix. If you're in academia, learn how academia works, what you can do with patents, for example, and how to work with government to get grants, how to work with industry to get grants, and maybe employment. No need for this. This is kind of just, again, a philosophical picture of what's going on in the world. So what's our time? Oh, 20, no problem. Okay, again, I mean, this has nothing to do with nanotech. I mean, it does a little bit because we talk about the augmented age. But I just want to impart some philosophical meaning that during my lifetime, that I've gathered. So we started out about 17,000 with the cognitive revolution. We started language and pictures of animals on the walls of caves and whatever, right? Then from that, we had spirituality, which happened also when we didn't understand something. We said that there's some deity living here or living here in the water, in the mountains, whatever. Very natural. Then religion came. The religion was simply the codification of spirituality. So there became rules and regulations on how to live. And then secularity evolved from that. People said, they started, Galileo said, oh, the earth is not the center of the universe, and there's different kinds of philosophies. But anyway, all of this, the revolutions are here. We have the agricultural revolution, the scientific revolution. Now we're here. We're at the augmented technology revolution. All right? So that's where you guys are. I'm not so much anymore. But this is you guys are 18, right? How old are you guys? 18? 19? 17? 17. Oh my God. That's unbelievable. 17 years old. Your whole 50, you probably will live to 120. So this whole future is ahead of you. Professor Wartsack and I were discussing that longevity is going to be increased, especially with the help of AI. So these things are all happening to you. But anyway, so we have the augmented age now. That's where we are. But also notice that that arrow goes both ways, globalization, and then we can, if you look at the very top left, this whole thing can crash. It is the nature of biological systems that they can crash. Okay? I'm not saying everybody gone, but I think our way of life may be gone by our own doing, actually. So we have to be, and we can go back, goes back to the environment. So this cycle we don't want. We want to make sure that we take care of our, because it's not the world that's going to go away. It's our society that's going to go away. All right, please remember that. Again, more philosophical stuff. I don't want to burden too much. So here, can we, in this augmented age, can we deal with hunger, disease, calamity, pestilence, and poverty? And the answer, in my opinion, is no, because it has nothing to do with technology. We can. The technology is there, but it's all about politics and economics, unfortunately. And this has been the case for thousands of years. There's actually not a whole lot of difference, except everything is global now. And the messaging is more controlled. So yeah, I'm not an optimist. I don't see a bright future. COVID-19 vortex, it's an external driver of curriculum. And because of COVID, we got a lot of online courses in the world. That has changed completely our curriculum. So we are now like interdisciplinary, trans, and superdisciplinary. Whereas before we were maybe more traditional, monolithic academic disciplines. Okay, augmented age. How is it augmented? What do we know? According to Maurice Conti, he's one of the people that labeled the augmented age. And honestly, it's because, again, let's get back, it's because of emerging technologies that everything is going to be augmented. I mean, honestly, think about it. It's going to be nanotechnology, biotechnology, information, cognitive, that is going to drive the augmented age. All right, so you're going to play a role in that one way or another. Obviously, you're going to get a degree from here. Automatically, you're in it. And a company that seeks out projects intent on solving social issues, well, 3 things. Augmentation of human capabilities are expected to be influenced dramatically. Remember, this has been going on for a long time. We had automation for a long time already. How did that impact humans? Well, it unemployed a lot of people, right, for one thing. And secondly, it probably made better cars. Computational capability that enhances thinking. There's no doubt that our computers have, I mean, the cell phone, even the simplest one has Google. And you can Google anything in the world, get it at your fingertips. That wasn't there when I was your age. So the cognitive aspect is going to be enhanced. Number 2, robotic systems that make more and more complex things. So right now we have automation, but robotics is taking over not just factories, but they found out that they can replace lawyers with robots. Because what do lawyers do? They quote text that this was the precedent. And of course, you can't replace everything lawyers do, but you can replace a lot of their research because they have to look back and see what they would know every single thing of every law that was ever passed. So it's not going to, and by the way, right now AI is used to diagnose medical conditions. better than a doctor. What does a doctor do? If you go to Chulalongkorn Medical Center here, the guy's sitting at a computer, and before he sees you, he checks all the internet on what he has to look for. Look for this, look for this. I don't think it's possible to remember all that unless you have photographic memory. So yeah, they're already diagnosing even psychiatry. They're finding out AI can do a better job diagnosing psychiatric conditions. Okay, so, but there's no doubt we all understand robots are going to do more and more. I mean, I know when we visited Beijing Institute of Technology that they had a ping pong playing robot. Number 3, digital neural networks linked to us that take humans beyond what natural systems are capable. So you can, if I love to play chess, pretty good. But if I had a little chip in my brain that could turn me into a grandmaster, that raises ethical issues. This is why we need to know the humanities part of science. What is the impact of me having an implant in my brain that makes me play grandmaster level chess? Is that okay? How many here think that's okay? Or is it unethical to cheat? Maybe it's cheating. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of chess engine. Anyone here play chess? There's a lot of chess engines that are incredibly powerful. They can beat grandmasters, okay? I play them every day at home. That's how I relax. I play the chess engines. You guys have your video games. I have my chess engine, okay? Older. But they know now, they know now in tournaments that people are cheating using the chess engines somehow. I don't know, maybe they put a little program in their glasses or in their ear or something. And people can detect when you're using a chess engine to play. So there's now new rules in chess tournaments because they still have the Bangkok Open. I really want to play, but I don't know if I have the time. But the Bangkok Open coming up in April or so, grandmasters from around the world come to Bangkok to play. Plus anyone can play. There's many sections. And they have rules now. You can't take your cell phone to the bathroom. You can't do this and that. No cell phones in the tournament room at all. So they have to accommodate the tournament for the use of AI. Because AI will win. You can't beat it. Are you guys familiar with the game Go? Remember Go? One of the more complicated than chess. Google has an engine called AlphaZero. And they did not teach AlphaZero how to play Go. They just gave AlphaZero the set of rules. AlphaZero taught itself how to play Go. And after a few years, it has beaten, and they played each other. AlphaZeros played each other until they knew how to play. And they had AlphaZero defeated the world champion 100 times in a row. AlphaZero is very close to human thinking. There are 2 chess programs. One is Stockfish and one is AlphaZero. Stockfish is more of a computerized program, but AlphaZero has a human element. Cognitive science, right? And AlphaZero beat the daylights out of Stockfish. The Stockfish beat every grandmaster. Okay? It beat Stockfish because it could think like a human. This is what we have already. Yeah, nanotechnology underneath it all. Anyway, so this is, we think about all of these tech, that's misspelled, tech humanology. These are new terms. What the heck is that? Tech humanology. So it's coming, Robo sapiens instead of Homo sapiens, transhumanism. Get ready. Okay, let's take a quick look at this. This is our, again, learn your past. This is the far past. Right after the dinosaurs went extinct, about 65 million years ago, we had the rise of what's called the Cenozoic era. And our human life really began in the Holocene about 12 million years ago. No, 12,000 years ago, when we developed agriculture and all that. But now, there is actually a new age, a new epoch called the Anthropocene. Anthro means human, and Ocene is the age of the human. So now we have a geological age that is based on our changing the world. What is the marker? A geological marker has to be relatively permanent. It has to be worldwide. All the others have fossil records, and we can pretty much all of these guys went extinct here. This is the new era, right? The marker for our age, the Anthropocene, is nuclear radiation residue. It's all over the world. They can measure it in every geological layer. I say another one is plastics. Microplastics are everywhere. Now, I don't know if geologically they will stand up to time, but they're everywhere too. The rubber from your tires, where do you think it goes? It goes into the ocean, okay? Your tires wear out, right, on your car. Where do you think that rubber goes? It goes somewhere. Actually, it gets blown. They found residues on top of mountains. So rubber, tires, and nuclear radiation are part of our markers for it. But the Anthropocene, pollution, all of these things, we are doing it. What is your PM reading today? Do you know? I carry a little machine with me that measures it. I don't have it. It's in my bag in your office. But up in his office, Dr. Pumchai's office, it was rated at 35. What is it? Huh?
41.
41 is just about right. That's inside. So outside, I found air conditioners are very good at purifying air, actually. And I bought an air purifier, and in my room, my home, my bedroom, and I get it down to 4 or 5. And the air conditioner also helps purify. Outside, sometimes it's 120. That's my little thing was flashing red. Local reading everywhere. 40 is not bad for even in I live in Wahin, which is a 3-hour bus ride from here, and it can get up to 120 there. You would think, oh, by the beach, everything wonderful. It is wonderful, but we get a lot of fire from Cambodia and other places that are burning everything. That's when the season is coming right now, when people are burning things. And of course, the automobile and the construction and all that contribute. Okay, remember the Anthropocene, remember the augmented age, remember the quadruple helix. So here, I labeled this Anthropocene. We had the nuclear age in 1945, and I'd say 1990 with the Cold War ending, maybe that was finished, huh? Even though it's always there. Then that's the age of Homo sapiens. We call it Homo precipitomensis. I came up with that. That means a human being that tumbles head over heels into oblivion. All right. And when we play around with nuclear bombs, that's what we're doing. And then Homo sapiens started out, the digital information, it created a new kind of human being called Homo digitalis. And they say that actually, especially young people that are always over on their cell phone, are starting to develop a bone in the back of their neck that helps support their head. Now they've measured this bone and they say it's actually growing. Check your bone. How big is it? Mine is very small because I don't check. But they say that a lot of young people that are this all day are developing muscle support to support their head without getting tired. How's yours? Good? Still okay? But anyway, so that's homework. And then augmented age, can we be called Robo sapiens? Are we going to be part robot and part human? There's going to be a lot of uh, artificial organs that may be synthetic, artificial organs, of course, legs and things, artificial eyes that can see better than your eye. Of course, brain implants. Elon Musk just put in a brain, I told you earlier, that can now, just by thought, can move your legs. Once connectomics is kicking in, we'll know the whole human brain. So that's nanotechnology coming. Okay, this is just, let me just get to the integration of everything. Look at this picture. I created this picture to show how related everything is. And I looked at chemistry, physics, and biology as the three core drivers. And then there's the overlaps of them, right? And then, of course, biology, social sciences came from biology because we're humans, right? And there you go. And then the engineering evolved from there. But that's what's happening is we're becoming more and more diverse and new fields, even nanotechnology is kind of still a new field. Nanochemistry, physics, and you can see how all of this. Where do I have computers? Somewhere here, but mathematics, robotics, computers, nano. Where do they fit into this picture? This whole BASI thing. Now, if I remember, Bachelor of Arts in Science, right? Integrated innovation. Integrated innovation uses all of this. Whatever is needed goes into II. So knowing, I would say at least something about nano, something about these things is important. Now, do we need the hardcore scientists? Oh yeah. I talk to hardcore physicists. Have you ever talked to physicists before? If you're a chemist, they don't want to talk to you. I'm physics, go away. I don't care about this. He called it rubbish. Rubbish. It's a British guy. It's a bunch of rubbish. They do physics. That's all they care about. That's fine. Those people we need, we do. They're the ones who did the semiconductor and everything. The hardcore chemist, the hardcore engineer, the hardcore computer. They don't worry about all of this. But if you're going into business, you're going into more, you need to know this. At least some of it, yeah. But not rubbish. Not rubbish. That's what they said, rubbish. You know what rubbish is, right? Garbage. 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 American would say garbage. Anyway. But you can look at that and you can come up with your own chart and how you put all these things together, but pretty comprehensive. Integration of everything. That's where we are. So nano is breaking down these old traditional walls. Chemistry would never talk to biology, would never talk to physics 50 years ago. Now you have to. So you computer programmers, hopefully you can contact. You don't have to be a chemist or physicist, but you need to talk to a chemist. This is what I want. I want a gold 55 cube octahedral cluster. I want a good picture of it somehow. Creativity, curiosity, creativity, correlation. I call these the big C's. You can also do this with big B's or big D's. These just happen to be pretty good words for. But, how many here have curiosity? You have to. I mean, that's why you're here. We talked to a Nobel Prize winner from Italy who actually did the cryogenic mapping of ribosomes. And she said her first slide was a huge word, curiosity. What the heck was his name? Escapes me. But curiosity is, you have to have it. You have to ask questions all the time. Ask your problem 100 questions until you get sick and tired of you. But curiosity is the most important thing. If you're not curious about everything, you might as well be a politician, yeah. Of course, you'll make more money as a politician. Creativity, of course, correlation, collaboration, complexity, criticality, communication, all these things are really good for your career, I think. You can master some of these things. So are you nano ready? Are you nano ready? This guy was not nano ready. T-Rex had an issue with his hands. They were very small. I see so many jokes about cartoons about that. But he had small hands. And I don't know why. Nobody knows. Leonardo da Vinci studied the science of art and studied the art of science. That's not me saying that. That's Leonardo da Vinci. He was an artist and a scientist. So when we first did this class back in 2020, I had students actually do some nano art. I thought it was totally Looney Tunes, totally crazy. But I think we got a lot of beautiful work out of them. And we were going to post them on the wall, but then COVID happened and all that. So we didn't get to do that. But they did that. And then at the end of it, I had them do a business plan on some kind of new nano business. And that was fantastic. Art and science, please read this. Art and science are not inseparable. One is humanities, according to us, and the other one is science and engineering, right? So, but there is, right now, even in research labs, believe it or not, they have artists. And when you're discussing projects, they have an artist present. Because an artist has a sense of symmetry and structure, and whatever. It's really an interesting fusion. Geometry is nothing but a branch of art. Cuboctahedron is a beautiful artistic thing. We'll talk about cuboctahedron in great detail tomorrow. Industry is best at the intersection of science, and a lot of people have said this. It's not just me. You'll find a lot of different kinds of nano art on the internet. I just took some pictures here. Amazing amount of stuff with carbon nanotube there. But there's a little motor, molecular motor. Look at that. You've already seen nanotechnology many times. If you've seen beautiful stained glass in temples, for example. It's made with nano gold, nano cobalt, nano lead, all different kinds of metals in their nano state. So you've seen it already. More art, biotech art. Look at that tree, huh? DNA art. How about a tattoo? Let's all go get a tattoo. We'll do a nano DNA art on our shoulder. How many here have tattoos? Nobody? Yeah, I don't know. It seems so popular. I see everywhere, especially Europeans. They're tattooed completely. But anyway, DNA, photosynthesis art. God, look at that. Digital art. Oh, by the way, I was in your director's office just before class. There's a new a new program called Net Journey. Have you heard of that? Or Met Journey. And you put in the parameters. Like I said, gray hair, beard, this and that, brown eyes, whatever. And then AI will create an image of you. And then when you see it, of course, it'll look nothing like you, but then you refine it with more parameters. And at the end of it, you can have an image created by AI that looks just like you. It's unnerving, actually. And then you can speak. So you speak for about, 2 or 3 sentences, and it can recreate your voice and add it to your picture and make you look like you're talking. What is real and what is not real is going to be very difficult to figure out. Thanks, nanotechnology. You're going to make your life a lot more complicated. Anyway, so this was just in his office. We were playing around with that. AI. Oh wait, did I say digital? Oh, this is digital. Okay. And AI art. This was actually a few years ago already. Art by AI. They told them to draw us this, and this, and then it's pretty interesting. It can do modern art. It can do more classical looking art. Augmented age already. This is from the class. Ah, okay. I have some pictures for you. Some of it was computer assisted. Others were hand drawn. And these are, now these people have graduated already, right? Oh my God, they're already gone. So this was the class of 2020. And you can see, I asked them, sorry, I asked them to express themselves, think, because when you open that part of your brain, that may help you in your business. If you're not an artist right now, that part of your brain is maybe not working as it could. Usually they say left, right hand side, but they turn that's not true. It's all of your brain does everything. But if you use that part of your brain, maybe that'll help your other part. Think about that. You could double your performance. So these guys, they made these incredibly beautiful pictures from their art class. Look at that. There's a DNA one. Anyway, not just pretty pictures. All across the world, curriculums are trying to combine art and science. And nano art is just one part of it. Oh my God, there's more. Okay, the business real quickly. If I don't have time, what time is it?
Maybe we pick up tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow class will be
No, I'll just let them read this. I'm going to give you the presentation. What I ask you is don't post it online because they're going into my book. I don't want to be scooped by myself. Okay, so you'll have this whole thing. We have it already here. So he's going to Dr. Punjai will give it to everybody. Okay, but just go through this. It shows you all the trends and whatever you can look at. You can see everything is going up. Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to